The U.S. is charging a top Harvard scientist along with 2 Chinese researchers over hiding China ties and payments. Edward Lawrence has more. Edward, what's going on here?
Yeah, I can tell you. First, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy says that the National Institutes of Health have 180 at least open cases on fraud, grant fraud. Also, the FBI, they say, working on 1,000 cases related to China and grant fraud, possibly with China targeting these researchers. Now, the latest, as you said, the chair of the Harvard Chemistry and Chemical Biology Department facing 5 years in prison and $250,000 in fines. Charles Lieber developed a bio-nanoelectronic sensor that could detect one particle of a disease and a wire that is thousands of times smaller than the human hair. He got $15 million in grant money from the Department of Defense and National Institutes of Health starting in 2008. Now, under China's 1,000 Talents Plan in 2012, he signed a contract with Wuhan University of Technology in China for $50,000 a month, plus significant living expenses, as well as $1.5 million to set up a lab. Now, the U.S. requires disclosure of foreign income for those grants. The head of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy says this is exactly how China pressures the U.S. to get taxpayers to fund research, then try and steal it.
It really is. This is the high-value targets, right? I mean, China isn't after the mundane stuff. They're after the really, really important things, the top-line results, and our best people. So we have to be very, very thoughtful about that.
And I obtained one of the contracts that China uses for this. This is a contract of a former Virginia Tech professor who was charged, actually convicted in Virginia of this wire fraud transaction. Now, this was a biological engineering professor who was working on studying artificial sweeteners. He got a $600,000 grant from NIH and the U.S. And there you see the contract here for $600,000 from the federal government. Now, through China's 1,000 Talents Plan, he already had a salary of $150,000 a year and doing work for a Chinese university on artificial sweeteners. Now, for the first time, the administration has consolidated the enforcement of this under that Office of Science and Technology Policy. They're coordinating with universities and law enforcement information to try and target these individuals who may be doing this, getting U.S. grant money, and then obviously sending that information possibly over to China. Back to you.
Here today to announce 3 separate cases highlighting the ongoing threat posed by Chinese economic espionage and research theft in the United States. First, the arrest today of a Harvard University professor for lying about his participation in a Chinese foreign recruitment program. Second, this morning we have unsealed a separate indictment of a Chinese national working as a scientific researcher at Boston University who failed to mention on her visa application that she is also a lieutenant with the People's Liberation Army. Finally, this office has indicted another Chinese national for trying to smuggle vials of biological material out of the United States to China and lying about it to federal investigators. That defendant, whose entry to the United States had been sponsored by Harvard University, was a cancer researcher at a lab at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. So, this morning, science, biomedical research. This is not an accident or a coincidence. This is a small sample of China's ongoing campaign to siphon off American technology and know-how for Chinese gain. Recently, Attorney General Barr referred...
No country poses a greater or more severe and long-term threat to our national security and economic prosperity than China. China's communist government's goal, simply put, is to replace the United States as the world's leading superpower, and they're breaking the law to get there. Massachusetts is a target-rich environment with world-class academic institutions, research facilities, hospitals, cleared defense contractors, and startups. And each and every one of them are in danger of having their research, development, and investments stolen right out from under them. The ruling Communist Party of the People's Republic of China wants what we have so they can get the upper hand on us.